Hi, hello, and welcome back to my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week's episode, I'm talking about a few different movies, Jawbreaker specifically, because I finally got to watch it, but then also comparing it to Mean Girls and also Heathers, all of which, both Jawbreaker and there's like such a through line of like Heather's influencing Jawbreaker, and both of those movies influencing Mean Girls. And I had already like kind of heard that comparison, especially with Jawbreakers to Mean Girls, but like literally watching from the very beginning of Jawbreaker, I was like, oh, this is Mean Girls. um, which yeah. But to kind of give like a little update, I took like a unintended break mainly because my laptop had run out of storage. So I didn't have enough storage to even like record a full podcast episode. So I was like, okay, well, shoot. And so I got a new SSD or solid state drive instead of a hard drive. They're like super cute. I mean, they're expensive, but well, relatively speaking. But they're really tiny. They're quiet. And I want to say I got a terabyte one. I don't know. I went to Best Buy. I don't trust. I mean, I'm trying not to use Amazon that much, only for like emergencies or something. But oh, see, now I see the disk space remaining. Warning. So I have a good 8 hours after moving some stuff off of my laptop to my SSD. Um, yeah, because I think I only had like 10 minutes before or something crazy. And I was like, well, I'm trying to have long podcast. So yeah, that happened. And then my semester started. So then I was trying to get acquainted with like a new schedule because I'm taking 3 classes, but I also work 4 times a week. And so for 2 of the 4 days I'm working, I am doing work then school. And that's on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, which is today, I'm doing school in the morning and then work right after. So I'm like, okay, this is week 2 of that. I'm kind of getting used to it. I did show up late to my classes. Not crazy late. Last week I showed up crazy late because the train was like, haha, no. And I was like, well, I have to show up. Mainly because you want to show up on at least the first day of school so that the teacher knows, hey, hi, I exist. Um, as well as there's been like this crazy AI scam going on where people make ghost students in order to scam for financial aid and stuff. So I think schools across the board have been dealing with this. And so one of the ways to combat whether or not a student that signed up for your class is fake or real is if the person actually shows up or not, right? Um, I'm like, God damn. I'm like, name, please. No one has named a legitimate reason to be using AI, um, or at least generative AI, because an algorithm is not AI. You're putting together something. It's not intelligent. Um, anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so yeah, I started this semester. I'm on week 2. Um, it's really, really funny because they're all film classes. 2 of them are required for this degree or whatever that I'm getting, I guess. Community college is interesting. I mean, it's nice to go back to school and not have to like um pay like crazy amounts or whatever. It's like kind of a healing experience in a way. Cause well, yes, I'm taking it seriously, but I feel like there's less pressure around it because it's like, oh, well, you're going to this big school, big college. You're also paying to be here. So if you don't show up, you just wasted money and you're wasting your time. And it's like that added pressure isn't there. Um, and okay, oh, that's what I was saying. It's really funny because I I'm taking these three classes, but it's all the same teacher. Um, and it was just kind of funny for her to realize, especially on the third day, like, oh, you again. Nice. Um, and I'm like, we're gonna be besties at the end of this, I swear. Like, you know, assuming I, turn in the homework and oh, then there's like another dude that's in there who's also taking all three of her classes with me, and I'm like, you're gonna be my other bestie as well, because this is crazy. Um, but also I'm like, I'm kind of done being in school, or at least this school. So I want to be done by next semester, I think, and then I want to focus on building a body of work, portfolio. Um, I mean, and that's like, of course, stuff outside of this podcast and the streaming and whatever. Because I'm like, this podcast is for fun. The streaming is so I can play the games that I've bought and not finished. So it's like holding myself accountable. I mean, I put that on my Twitch, which is the_noir on Twitch. I'm streaming Wednesdays and this week on Sunday because I have a thing. I'm working a wedding on Saturday because I usually do streams Wednesday and Saturday, but I moved the stream to a Sunday because I am working a wedding, which will be interesting. I'm doing the lighting basically, which should be fun, hopefully. Anyway, so now I'm like, okay, I have to do this podcast this week. Um, hopefully I have enough time to pre-record some stuff. I wanted to do mini-sodes in case I do run into basically what just happened. Um, what is it? I've been watching a lot of Tubi movies with my roommate, so I wanted to do like a quick mini-sode going over the Tubi movies we watched, which have been really ridiculous, really funny. What was it? We watched Workbay 2. Wait, no, Workbay 3. Uh, Teacher's Pet, which, oh my God, there's like original music in that. I'm probably gonna sing that when I talk about it. Um, what's another one? Uh, I don't, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of indie black films on there, basically, and the quality is something else. So it's like, sometimes it's like the cinematography is good, and then damn, you just fucked up the audio for some reason here. Um, or like the audio is like, honestly, the audio has been the thing that's been like fucking people up, and I'm like, okay, I definitely need to take the audio class that they offer here because I'm like, yeah, I understand how audio can be the thing. Like it's like one of the most important things, but it's also the most I feel like you can overlook it really easily when, you're really trying to get the blocking of a scene down and then making sure the actors are good, making sure everything's in focus. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, and then you put a mic here. It's like, make sure that, like, at least have a person pay attention to the audio, I think is probably the most important thing. Um, like you have a person in charge that's making sure the audio is good. That's important. Um, and What else? I don't know. I think that's it. Yeah. Tubi movies that I need to talk about. Um, and non-horror movies, I guess, in general. I was gonna maybe do like speedy reviews of stuff that I enjoyed recently. Um, like I recently watched something, I think it's called The Distinct Charm of the Bourgeoisie. The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. Um, which is, I don't know, it's really funny. I didn't expect it to be that funny. The premise is so silly of just like these group of people who keep trying to sit down and have dinner and the dinner gets interrupted. Like that's how it was described to me. And then actually watching it, I'm like, this is this gets really surreal really fast. Well, not really fast. You work your way into it because there was like one scene where they're sitting down for dinner and then all of a sudden there's like this army that shows up and they're like, no, wait, you're supposed to show up next week. And they're like, well, it's actually happening this week. And then they make space for all these people. And then one of the guys, one of the soldiers, just gets into this monologue, and then we get into like this dream sequence because he's explaining a dream he had, and then we're all just like listening to him explain this dream, and then we come back, and then all the people are like, and now we have to go, and it's like, but we just put the food down, like it's yeah, it's funny. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a black comedy for sure. Um, yeah. Excited. Oh, I'm so excited for the classes. I know I'm gonna be tired, but I'm trying to, I don't know, be good about sleeping, I guess. Who knows? I don't know. Um, but anyway. So yeah, anyway, I'm like I had to leave and oh, I remembered something because I'm also doing something tomorrow night after work. Busy, busy. But yeah, let me get into these movies. Yeah. So starting with Jawbreaker, since that is the thing that I mostly want to talk about. Um, Going into the plot, at least. Three of the most popular girls at Reagan High accidentally kill the prom queen with a jawbreaker when a kidnapping goes horribly wrong. And that doesn't really give away the plot. That is the very beginning of the movie. And of course, you're probably like, um, if you haven't seen Jawbreaker, but you've seen Mean Girls, you're like, what does this have to do with Mean Girls? And it's like, yeah, no. So the three popular girls are very much the clique, the Mean Girls. And you do also have this character who later on shows up, named Fern, who is basically Lindsay Lohan's character, who gets this makeover, who tries to become one of the people in the clique and everything like that. And I mean, it doesn't follow Mean Girls specifically, but oh my gosh, like thinking of the beginning of the Mean Girls, of like you being introduced to Lindsay Lohan's character, and there's the voiceover, and you're seeing the three popular girls and everything like that. Like that's the very beginning of Jawbreaker as well, aside from the kidnapping, of course. But wow. I was just like, whoa, I was so struck at like how similar they were, at least in that regard. But they do um diverge from each other, of course. I mean, aside from the fact that uh I'm trying to remember her name. That Regina George gets hit by a bus. They don't commit to killing her. So she lives. But I'm like, Yeah, so they almost killed someone. And I mean, at least, oh, and I'm mixing it up with Heather's now. But at least in Heather's, actually, okay, let me go back. So that was Jawbreaker's synopsis. I'll read Mean Girl synopsis briefly. Oh, and then for timing's sake, Jawbreaker came out in 1999. Mean Girls came out in 2004. Mean Girls synopsis: Candy Heron is a hit with the plastics, the A-list girl clique at her new school, until she makes the mistake of falling for Aaron Samuels, the ex-boyfriend of Alpha Plastic, Regina George. And in case you didn't know this, like how could you not know this? Tina Fey, the person who's one of the writers of behind Mean Girls, was inspired by the self-help book Queen Bees and Wannabes, created by Rosalind Wiseman. And that was all about like cliques and everything, and how to survive them as a teenage girl essentially. And I'm like, sure, yeah, okay. But I don't know. I'm like, because I know that the guy that they're all in love with, he is currently like a gay man, like married, like with a husband and everything. I'm like, you guys didn't know he's gay? No, no, I'm joking. Um, what was I gonna say? But yeah, screenplay by Tina Fey. It was directed by Mark Waters. And then to go back to Jawbreaker, that was directed by Darren Steen, who I think later on makes GBF. I think it came out in 2012. Gay Best Friend. That movie wasn't good, of course. Ooh, and apparently if I look up GBF, I am in another country. So, um, let me look up with movie. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, GBF. Oh, I was off by a year. It came out in 20. It had a theatrical release in 2014. It hit film festivals in 2013, though. Um, but yes. So Darren Steen directed and wrote Jawbreaker. He had inspiration from Heather's, Carrie, and John Hughes films. And if you don't know who John Hughes is or what his films are, but you probably do, it was stuff like The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's like all of these like teen movies that primarily came out in the late 80s. He apparently also made Home Alone, which I didn't know. He also made Flubber, which I love that movie as a child. And all these like Beethoven movies. I don't know, it looked like he kind of went into doing more, like he changed his demographic, like he was making movies for teens and then he started making movies more for like kids because he also did the Home Alone movies and Dennis the Menace. Um, oh, he did the live action 101,000. God damn, 101 Dalmatians. But yeah, Flubber. That was a movie. Came out in '97 with Robin Williams. I love that movie. Have not watched it recently though, so I know those effects are not that great. Not that great. But yeah, it's like if you think of a teen movie from the '80s, or if you think of a teen movie, that used like actual teens and felt, I don't know, I guess kind of real. I don't know. I was gonna say realistic, but I'm like it was also like um, heavily white and suburban, which is very specific. But yeah, so it's like this guy was heavily inspired by John Hughes, Carrie, and Heathers. And then so to get into Heathers, which came out in 1989, so still around, the John Hughes time, but very much like a antithesis of a John Hughes movie because this is very much like a dark comedy. So at Westerberg High, where cliques rule, jocks dominate, and all the popular girls are named Heather. It's going to take a Veronica, a mysterious new kid, to give teen angst a body count. And it's like, body count is definitely where you get into it. Very much straying from any John Hughes. I was going to say Facts of Life, which was a daytime television show that was sort of like geared towards. I don't know why I'm talking as if whoever's listening to this doesn't know what I'm saying, but I'm going to assume you don't know what I'm talking about. And I don't even really remember watching this. I remember it being referenced in my life, but I don't think, yeah, because it came out in the it ended in the 80s, but it started from 79, which is wild. But I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it was a spin-off of Different Strokes, which is also something I've heard of and haven't seen. Like, come on, give me a description. Okay, so basically it's like a woman teaching a bunch of teen girls how to solve their problems, how to face their problems, actually. Um, which I mean, honestly, yeah, why isn't there like a show like that currently? Because I mean, and it's supposed to be a sitcom and everything. Realism. That's what I was trying to say about John Hughes films. There's like a level of realism to it. I think because he was drawing from his real life, so it wasn't just like I think this is like the whole hello fellow kids um thing where it's just like I know you wrote this for you you wrote this. You have a young actor saying these words, but I don't think you've actually interacted with a teen before. Like where the dialogue is so divorced from like how people talk. I mean, how people talk in general, but how especially if they're trying to use lingo that is very popular amongst the youth. Um it just sounds rigid and inauthentic. And I mean, there is other things to say about like how a lot of internet lingo, quote unquote, is really just AVE or Ebonics or whatever. Like it's just black lingo that's been bastardized and now it doesn't even people use terminology and phrases that are out of context of what they're out of context and they're not even used properly. So they're saying things that make no sense. And that's what gets like kind of weird about it. And it's like stuff that people have been saying for years, like decades, that is getting bastardized. And I remember even growing up and seeing that happen, but it was a much slower thing to happen. Like examples are escaping me right now. But it happens so much more faster. It happens faster because of the internet and because of people's access to everyone in the world, essentially. And it's like kind of scary because it's like, oh, you want to interact with people who look like you and everything and talk the way we talk when we're amongst each other. But then if something like, if some sort of video or tweet becomes viral, now you have all these other people who are like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds cool and I'm going to use it. Like, ugh, it's weird and interesting place to be in. Oh, I was going to explain all these Beethoven movies. So it's not Beethoven the musician, but Beethoven the dog. And how many movies are there? Five, six, seven. He made seven Beethoven movies, but with Beethoven's fifth being the last numbered one. And then there's Beethoven's Christmas Adventure. Oh my god, is he a puppy? And then Beethoven's Treasure Tale. Oh no, my computer froze. Um, oh, okay. So to talk about Heathers, because I'm like, that's the thing that kind of started all of this. Or at least it's like this inspired Jawbreaker, which then inspired Mean Girls. So this like weird trickle down effect. And it's like, I'd have to look into this because I don't think. Because Heathers did not do good. Just off the bat, it did not do good when it initially came out. It's very much a cult classic film. Same with Jawbreaker, it's also a cult classic. So, of the things that inspired it, well, of the three movies, two were inspiration that are cult classics, whereas Mean Girls is a hit, which is just, I think that's just interesting facts. Um, the facts of life. Because I still have that tab up. But yeah, so it's actually just very interesting to look back. And I mean, we still do this in like television and kind of in movies, but just this sort of like ensemble cast. Not even an ensemble cast, but like with Heathers, we have the three popular girls. With Jawbreaker, we also have the three popular girls. And then with Mean Girls, we literally have the same three popular girls. These three that are one is the leader and the two are the followers, and all three of these groups from these three different movies interact with an outsider or someone who isn't exactly like them, who is sort of adjacent to the group. And at least with Heather's, Veronica just grew up with them and is in the same like upper echelon of like mm, um not notoriety, but like just she also has like her family also has money, but she's not Heather because all the I mean they're called Heathers because all of them their names are the same. Their first names are the same. I'm like, oh, I could see that being like a cute thing when you're like a child, like like on the playground, and you're like, oh my God, my name is Heather too. Let's be friends forever, you know? But so like Veronica was also like their childhood friend. But she's not like them because she's Veronica and not Heather. And she's kind of treated lesser than because of this. It's kind of wild actually. But then again, it's like you get the same dynamic in all of these movies. And then I also think about something like Golden Girls, where it is, I was going to say four women, but it is five technically, I think. I'm like, no, wait, is it four? No, okay, it is four. I was like, I am making up a fifth woman, a fifth golden. Um, but yeah, it's like you get Golden Girls, you get um things like Living Single, um, Friends, which was living single but white. Um and things like Girlfriends. It's like all of these things that are kind of built around four people. I mean, Friends and Living Single It's like, at least with Living Single, you have the three main women, and then there's two adjacent guys, but they get their own like side plot. And then with Friends, it's also like there's just a lot of people in Friends. Friends is an outlier. Seinfeld, though, Seinfeld is it's four, and I think that also because like it gets a little muddy when you move past like four. Like four is a good like sweet spot of having an ensemble. Well, all right, I keep saying ensemble, and I'm like, I feel like an ensemble cast is like one, everybody's notable. Two, it's like eight people, you know? Okay, so basically, an ensemble cast means that all the roles have roughly the same amount of screen time. And yeah, I thought it had to do more with like how many people, but it's like no, everyone has like an equal amount of screen time. And they use Friends as an example, and I'm like, yes, you definitely get an equal amount of screen time with all of them. And they all go through their own like side plots that have nothing to do with each other, which is interesting. Um, but I'm like, yeah, six people is definitely pushing it though, because at some point you're like, you hate Ross, and you're like, can he get off the screen, please? I hate Ross. If you couldn't tell, um, nothing wrong with the David Schwimmer. I just want to get rid of his H right there and just say call him Swimmer. CH right there and call him Swimmer. But that is not how you pronounce that man's name. Oh, he's like 58. Oh, his birthday's in November. That's cool, I guess. I hate Ross. He's just so pathetic. He's so pathetic to me. And um pathetic to me. Yeah. I'm like, and then I saw Woody Allen's name and I'm like, he's also someone who plays pathetic. I mean, he plays himself and stuff, but in that stuff, he's pathetic. But also, he's not a great person either because he married his like adoptive daughter, which is weird and creepy. I, what? Like, it's what? Like, he's still married to her. He's still married to her. I, they have children. Okay, no, I'm going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, and I need to stop. Also, yeah, let's get out of here, please. I don't want to see his face. He's 80. Oh, she's only 50. I I don't I don't like that. Okay, I just don't like pathetic guys. Depending. Depending. If you're a little pathetic, sometimes it's interesting. It's like, oh, you're kind of a well-rounded person because I wouldn't think you're pathetic, but you're being pathetic all of a sudden, and I'm like, oh, how sweet, sweet. I don't know. Um, I like what do I define as pathetic that isn't annoying? Now I have to go deeper into this. I don't. Now I'm like, where am I going with this? Um. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's get into like why I don't like Ross. He's whiny. He's self-centered. Um, and that's what makes him pathetic. And like he has his career and everything, right? Um, he like in the beginning of the show, he is just getting a divorce because his wife realizes that she's a lesbian, and he's all in arms about that. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe if she didn't, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to watch Friends again. But I'm trying to remember because I'm like, I know she gets pregnant, but I can't remember if she's pregnant beforehand. But I'm like, I remember Rachel also being pregnant. Anyway, Ross is pathetic, and I don't like pathetic men. You can be a pathetic a little bit. You can be okay. You can be whiny a little bit. You can um be clingy a little bit. But those are two things that I should not see right off the bat. And with Ross, you see these things off the bat. And it's his only qualities. I'm like, what are these people attracted to? He's a white man in New York. I don't what are you like what are you like why is he pulling all of these beautiful women? I don't know. Um and I'm like, okay, and because I'm like, it's one thing to be in touch with your emotions and be emotionally intelligent in that way, especially as a straight man, a cis straight guy. But to be whiny and crying and like self-centered, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing at all. Like I love a man that cries. I love a man that can express his emotions and is in tune with his emotions, is in tune with his femininity, um, and um, that even strengthens his own masculinity. Like I feel like I'm describing like a non-binary mass presenting person. But it's like there are cis people that exist who are these things. Um, yeah, so I'm like, love an emotionally intelligent man. Um, but someone who is aware of patriarchy, is aware of how masculinity is performed in that men, quote unquote, shouldn't express their emotions in this way and uses their like emotional intelligence to emotionally manipulate people with their like tears and everything. I find that pathetic. And that's a thought. And I didn't mean to go on a hate train for Ross from Friends. I don't know how I got there. Um that this is the show. I go on tangents. I mean, it's not a hate boner. I would continue, I think. But I'm like, I don't know. I haven't watched Friends in forever. Only really got into it because I don't know, our like our cable was off or something and my cousin had left her Friends DVD. So I was like, "Oh, let's just put that on." Whatever. And little did I know I would hate Ross. um I love Phoebe though. Phoebe's great. Oh man, John Hughes died in 2009. I have his IMDb up. Um, gosh, what was I even trying to say? Oh, okay. Let's get into the plot of. Oh, okay, okay. Like, let's rewind. I'm also like, this will probably be a longer-ish episode because I haven't done this in like 2 weeks. But yeah, so it's like I love me a Christian Slater. I also just love me an Anger Eyebrows guy. Also, the lighting in Heathers, phenomenal. I love it. It's very colorful, very vibrant, um, very moody too. And I'm like, ugh, I need films to look like this. And I'm like, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make movies that are, well, I mean, I don't know. We're figuring that out. I know I'm gonna do like experimental, like weird shit. Um, we'll see about doing narrative stuff. But which is what, most movies that are shown in movies that the public is aware of, because I was going to say shown in public and it's like, no, experimental stuff gets shown, but it's more like in smaller theaters and, stuff like that. But things in like big like AMC or Regal or whatever, like those are narrative films. They're telling a story. Experimental is less narrative and um can be trippy. Um and I'm excited to make stuff like that. Just trippy, weird, fun. Fun for me, hopefully fun for whoever looks at it. Stuff. And I'm excited to learn a lot of things. I'm like, ooh, I'm really seeing how I'm gonna push this art form or push what I do using this art form and putting it out there. Like I'm excited. But no, I just exited out of it. But yeah, so to get into Heather's, it is a culty movie starring Winona Ryder, which I love. She's so great. Um, was this off of her Beetlejuice? Let me see. She looks so good still. Um, I'm like on her Wikipedia, and it's wild that she was 18 dating a 26-year-old Johnny Depp, and they got engaged for a little bit, and but they broke up in '93. And I'm like, oh my god, the year I was born, that's crazy. Oh wait, yeah, duh, they knew each other. Because they were in Edward Scissorhands together. But they met prior to that. They didn't meet and like be with each other because of Edward Scissorhands. But I'm trying to see. Yeah, so Edward Scissorhands came out in 1990, so they were dating while this movie was being made. So okay, which is interesting to know because the affection and stuff they show towards each other felt pretty genuine. And it's like, oh, okay, this was actually coming from a real place because they were together at this time. But I'm also like, he was 26 and she was 18 when they met. Gross. Oh, okay. And then Heather's was coming out of Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice came out in 88. Heather's came out in 89. I was like, this is all I was trying to find. Please give me a year. Yeah, damn, it's like it critics loved it, but it definitely flopped and is definitely a cult classic, which I love. But to get into this cast though, so Veronica is played by Winona Ryder. JD or James Dean, who is the love interest of Veronica, is played by Christian Slater. All the Heathers in order. Heather Chandler is played by Kim Walker. She is the first victim. And then Heather Duke, once the first Heather is killed, she's played by Shannon Daughtery. Daughtery? A word. She's in Charmed. Love her. Um, she takes over as main Heather after the first Heather dies, and then Heather McNamara, played by Lizanne Falk. Those are the three Heathers, Veronica, and then JD. Martha, who is kind of a side character. She's like a recurring character. She's played by Carrie Lynn. And then Kurt and Ram. Kurt played by Lance Fenton and Ram by Patrick Labertrue. They're like these jockey characters who try to bully JD when he first shows up, and he pulls a gun out on them in the school cafeteria, and they piss themselves, I think. Um, and he shoots blanks at them, and I'm like, was that not foreshadowing anything in our American society? Because my God, but he only had blanks on them, so Veronica gets real interested in JD because of what he did to these jock guys. And they start, going out with each other and whatnot. And she talks to him about the Heathers and how much she hates them, essentially, and how the main Heather is the one that rules them all and stuff. And he was like, "Oh, what if we go over to her house and like prank her or whatever?" And Veronica's just like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna uh here, there's this like drink, we're gonna just put really spoiled milk in her drink." And JD's like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." And then he puts in fucking pipe cleaner in her cup and hands it to the Heather. And then she drinks this. She is choking. She falls, hit, and breaks this glass table and is dead. And Veronica's freaking out. JD's like, "Oh no." And it's like, "You're a weird little freak." Um, Acting like he didn't know that was going to happen. And so JD comes up with this idea of Veronica making a fake suicide letter because Veronica is very eloquent and just, and she's also able to perfectly copy people's handwriting. So she basically, in Heather's handwriting, writes this very beautiful, eloquent suicide note expressing all these things and leaves it. And then show starts this trend of popular people committing suicide, quote unquote, and it's really just JD killing people. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, not that many people die, but I will say what happens is, and this is like, it's like it's funny because it's like, wow, this is pretty sad. So going back to the two jocks, one of them like almost rapes one of the other Veronicas, and I'm trying to remember. I think Veronica just has it in her head to like get back at them and like shoot the fake gun to shoot blanks at them. So they fake act like they're gonna do like a double date situation and tell them to meet them in the woods, the two jocks. And she's just like, take your clothes off and everything. Cause she's thinking they have tranquilizer guns and or at least something that'll knock them out. And she wanted to get them naked or close to naked and knock them out and then take photos and like plaster them everywhere. And JD put real bullets in the guns, and so Veronica's shooting like haha, but they're real bullets in the gun. And so when she realizes that, she's like freaking the fuck out, and JD's like, I have to do everything because he already shot and killed the other guy. And um this movie is wild. And so he chases after the other guy, kills him, brings him back. They stage this whole thing of them. And again, Veronica is um, using her forgery skills to write these suicide notes and turn it into like this forbidden love suicide pact where these two jocks are actually in love with each other, but because of homophobia, um, they decided to end their lives together. And then there's like a whole funeral. They become martyrs. And literally, there's a whole scene where one of the boys' dad is just crying, sad, but he's like, I love my gay son. And it's just, that was just like touching, but also just like, wow, he wasn't gay. He was actually a terrible person. And so it turns into this thing of like all of these like it's a popular thing to kill yourself now. And so Martha who's someone who's fat, and gets bullied because of it. Um, she writes a note on her back and she walks into traffic, and this is kind of where you get like a not a mirroring, but she does get hit by a vehicle, but she doesn't die. And then she gets made fun of again because she's trying to be popular by killing herself, and it's just like, what is this world? What's going on? And so Veronica's like, you're crazy, JD. She realizes he's gonna try to kill her, and she fakes her death by acting like she hung herself because he came in to kill her. So she did figure that out correctly. Um, and so, as evil people do, he talks about his plan, thinking that she's dead, and she realizes that he's gonna try to blow up the school. And he went around getting everyone to sign stuff when it was actually like a mass suicide note, um, which is crazy. This movie, I mean, I love it. It's so wild, and like the fashion's so 80s too. And I think it got made into like a stage musical, but I don't think the stage musical has its own theatrical version of itself. Wild. And I was like, I told you I'm going to talk about Christian Slater because I'm like, ah ha ha. It's been a while, but he was in Blink Twice. And let me think. Basically, she confronts JD. Um, the school doesn't blow up. He does. And it ends with Veronica with like all this soot and stuff over her. Her hair's blown out because of the explosion. And she runs into Martha, who is now in like a wheelchair because she's, broken stuff. And she's just like, I'm going to hang out with you, Martha, because these people, I can't deal with this. And they ride off into the sunset. So it's a dark movie. Yes. So many crazy things happen. Um, I don't know. I love Christian Slater and his angry eyebrows, though. Love me angry eyebrow. Um, I don't know why. I kind of do because it's like expressive, but I think I love it because that like your resting face is angry, but your relaxed face, like you get out of the angry eyebrow. And that's fun to me, especially because again, I have face blindness, so it's like someone having angry eyebrows is a notable characteristics for me to remember the person. Because or like, yeah, if someone had like a resting bitch face, I'm like, oh, I remember you because that you look like that, and not everybody looks like this. So, um, yeah, very much drawn to interesting facial characteristics like that. Um, oh, like I remembered Adrian Brody because I thought of his eyebrows as like I would call him sympathetic eyebrow guy before I knew I have face blindness. Because he always like every time I would see him acting or something, he would have his brow would be in this like sort of worried, sympathetic look to me. Um like he was sad for the person, and I was like, oh yeah, sympathetic eyebrow guy. He's in a thing again. Um Another random DVD I had growing up was this movie called The Jacket with him in it. And it was like um this movie where he could kind of time travel while being in a straitjacket in a like morgue um room, I guess. Like where the bodies are stored, essentially. I think that's what that was about. I gotta look it up again. Yes, I did remember that correctly. And it is, yeah, apparently this sci-fi psychological thriller came out in 2005, which is wild. Huh. Produced by George Clooney. George Clooney be producing stuff. I love that for him. Um, I mean, I didn't remember like the nitty gritty of this, of just him being someone who, also, it is just called a morgue drawer. Wild. I would think it would be called more than that, but Daniel Craig is in this. Okay, I'm gonna have to get the DVD again. Watch it. Mainly because I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna look up if this is streaming. I don't think this is streaming. The Jacket 2005. Shh, you're not on Netflix, don't lie to me. Nope. Not on Netflix. It just has a page for some reason. If you're not on fucking Netflix, don't have a page. Amazon does this shit too. Oh my god, is it on Tubi? No, it is not. Don't do this. Like, literally, don't do this. But, let's go back. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I remember really liking that movie. But I have to get it again. I'm like, I don't think I definitely didn't watch this in 2005, I don't think. I probably watched it in 2007. Um, but yeah, it is like a crazy time travel movie. Apparently he's like in a psychiatric ward and being like tested on and stuff. And that's why he's put in the straitjacket in the morgue drawer, because the psychiatrist um who's doing this to him is just, yeah, no, he just, it's like, yeah, we're gonna just do this to you for whatever reason. And then Keira Knightley's in this too. Looking at this theatrical poster, and Adrian Brody, Keira Knightley, and then Adrian Brody in the jacket in the morgue drawer is in the middle of them. But like Tara has a new name, makes it seem like Adrian Brody is the villain for some reason, even though he is someone who interacts with Keira Knightley's character in the future and tries to help her and her mom out, I believe. Now I'm like, I hope I didn't mix up what was happening in that movie with the butterfly effect. Um, which is another movie. I didn't realize that. No, I think, okay. I think I think they did exactly what the Clue um like video release slash TV release did, of, even though theatrically you, and I'm talking about Clue, theatrically you would see, you would go to the theater, you go watch Clue, you get one ending. You didn't know what ending you got, but that was the ending you walk away with. Now, when you watch Clue on streaming, that version of Clue includes all three endings. And so theatrically, and I think they're going to do a theatrical screening of this where they do the three different endings and three different showings. And I'm like, oh, that's so fun. It's how they originally intended it. But apparently, the butterfly effect also has three different endings. And I remember watching the movie on TV, and I remember seeing, um, oh, just to kind of go into this movie as well. I'm like, I'm talking about so many different movies. Just to kind of go into this movie as well. It stars Aston Kutcher, um, and this is like a serious role for him. Wild. And it's also a time travel movie. He realizes he's able to travel through time, and he tries to sort of make the people in his life have better outcomes. So he tries to change something because this girl he's been in love with, um, they grew apart. He runs into her again, and she's just in a terrible state. Like she's an addict, and I think she's an addict sex worker or whatever. And I think she ends up like killing herself or something. He is torn over about this, so he travels back in time and prevents her from getting like molested as a child, which I think is one of the things he thinks is the trigger to her becoming an addict and stuff. And then he jumps back into the future and like the whole butterfly effect thing. Um, but his thing is about time travel, so it's like when you change something in the past, it changes the future. So when he goes into the future, um, her world is different, but it's still not, to him better. And so in the end, he realizes that the thing that would have helped her is for her to have never stayed in the town because she convinced her parents to stay there to be with him essentially. I was realizing I was talking away from the mic. Um, to be with him essentially. And so he goes back in time and just says something really mean to her to get her to never like live there. And then it jumps forward in time and they're on the street somewhere. It's a busy city. He's grown up, she's grown up. She looks great, he looks great. They walk by each other. He knows it's her. She's wondering who he is, and it kind of ends there. And there's like another, but apparently, I don't know. I guess I have to get that DVD too. Physical media, baby. I'm like, y'all gotta make DVDs interesting again, where you're having these bonus features of different endings, behind the scenes, DVD commentary, stuff like that. Because I'm like, that's what makes DVDs interesting and fun and a reason for people to buy them. Because it's like, why would I get the movie when it's on streaming? Why would I need a physical copy of it when it's on streaming? I want extra. I'm buying this for extra. I want the movie and something else, not just the physical version of it. Like, why is this taking up space in my home? Whew. I don't know why I'm talking about time travel. Somehow we got there. But yeah, so that was Heather's. I don't know how long ago I stopped talking about Heather's. But to get into Jawbreaker kind of starts off pretty silly. Oh wait, yeah. So I'm like, I forgot that the fourth one is dead essentially. But Jawbreaker does start with four popular girls, the Flawless Four. It's like Flawless Four, Plastics. Flawless Four, Plastics. Anyway, so so they have this tradition of like sort of pranking each other on their birthday, and they decide to kidnap Liz, who's actually like the only like genuinely kind-hearted and most loved by the entire school of the Flawless Four. Like everybody else is kind of just like kind of mean. Oh, and to get into who plays everybody, God, Bring Her Back was what? So you have Liz Purr, played by Charlotte Ayana. Um, Queen Bee. She's the Regina George of the group, but not the leader. She becomes the leader after Liz dies, though. Courtney Shane by Rose McGowan. And then you have Foxy, Marcy Fox, who is played by Julie Benz, and you have Julie Freeman, Jules, played by Rebecca Gayhart. Another character who is the Veronica of the group. Well, will become the Veronica of the group because she's not in the group yet. She's more Lindsay Lohan's character. Uh, character named Fern, who gets a makeover and a new name, who then goes by Violet, played by Judy Greer. And oh yeah, I didn't write too much. But Pam Grier is in this, which is wild. She plays a Detective Vera Cruz. Love her. Um, she's she's phenomenal. I was like, I paused myself, I think, in the middle of me saying that. She is Foxy Brown. She she's coffee. She is very much a big part of black exploitation films in the 70s. Love that. Action, yeah. She's phenomenal. It is wild to see her in this movie. Also, there is a random cameo by Marilyn Manson. He's literally called Rando. Well, no, I called him Rando, but I think he's just called Stranger in the movie. It's weird, but he at this point was dating Rose McGowan, and there's like a sex scene with her in it, and it's like, oh yeah, because that's your in real life boyfriend at this time. They only dated, they didn't get married or anything like that. But yeah, to go back into it, so they all decide to kidnap Liz, and Courtney decides to put a jawbreaker in Liz's mouth as a gag, which is, wild, especially because of the size of Jawbreaker. And so they gag her with a Jawbreaker. She's tied up and everything. They throw her in a car trunk, and then they get to a parking lot of, like, I think this diner or something. They open the trunk, take her photo because they're like, oh, she's gonna hate this because she's probably gonna look crazy. And they take the Polaroid, and then they're freaked out because she's dead. Because why? The jawbreaker got stuck in her throat and she died. And again, this is like the beginning of the movie, so I'm not. I mean, honestly, you gotta come into my show assuming I'm gonna spoil something. But did I spoil? I'm mainly gonna spoil the movies that I said I was gonna talk about. Because I'm like, I didn't really. Okay, I kind of went into the butterfly effect randomly. I went into a lot of stuff randomly, actually. I just be yapping. Um, so yeah, what these girls decided to do instead of going to the hospital or the police because they were afraid was go to school. You guessed it. They went to school and they left her body in the trunk, which is wild. And Courtney, because she's the leader now, decides that they're going to put her body back in her bedroom, back in the house, and, make it seem like it was an accident or something, or that she was raped or something. And while they're discussing what happened and everything like that, the character Fern shows up because she was made. Actually, no. Courtney was supposed to be the one to pick up the homework for Liz and bring it to her because um, this is a very elaborate plan. I'm like remembering it as I'm saying it. But one of the girls, because I can't remember which one, acts as though they are Liz's mom. They call the school and tell the school that Liz is sick, she can't come in. And so their teacher decides to get Courtney to be the point person to give Liz her homework. And Liz forgets to do this. And so their teacher, council person, or whatever, is like, hey, Fern, you know Liz, right? And it's like, Fern, I don't know. I was like, it felt like Fern was like in love with her, but love and love, admiration is the same thing, right? Um, and so Fern shows up while they're talking about how she's dead and, how they killed her and everything like that. And yeah, Fern's like, what the fuck? Runs off. And Courtney's like, again, Rose McGowan is acting her ass off. And I feel like I'm mispronouncing her name. I probably am. I know I'm not good at that. I try to listen to people's pronunciations before I say them in the podcast, and I just be fucking up. It's fine. It's just like it just I'm doing my best. Um, but what was I say? So Courtney, Rose McGowan, is just like Fern, Fern. You don't want to tell on us. You want to be one of us. And not just be one of us, because her name is Fern Mayo, which is so wild. They're like, what's the whitest last name we can give this girl? Mayo. And also, now that I understand that braces are actually very expensive, um, unless you have really good insurance, but how do you have really good insurance? A really good job. So, looking back at a lot of these movies and like the nerd character, I'm like, that motherfucker is coming from money or something. A lot more wealth than a lot of other people to even afford orthopedic orthopedic orthodontic. I'm like, orthopedic is the shoes. Orthodontist. Um but either way, I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, a lot of people end up just growing up and getting uh the corrective things like braces as adults because their families can afford it as they're growing up, And I'm like, yeah, no, that shit is up there in price, bro. The American healthcare system is fucked. I also hate that dentistry is separate from um like healthcare because I'm like, all of it is connected. Like literally all of it is connected. And whatever is happening internally, all of like the acids from your stomach and everything can float up and start to like decay and fuck with your mouth. Or like if you're iron deficient, calcium deficient, that could fuck with your teeth. So it's like, especially like if you're pregnant or something, and if you're not taking your multivitamins as a pregnant person, the child will literally just suck the vitamins from your teeth and you will lose all your teeth. Like, it is important because they're all connected, right? Like, what? I hate that it's all taken separately. I'm like, I understand having specialists in every part of the body, but when these specialists aren't talking to each other, it's like, what's the point? What is the point, you guys? What is the reason? But anyway, so they give Fern a makeover again while Liz is dead in her bed. Her parents are out of town, so they don't know. So she's gonna be bed. She's gonna be dead in her bed for a week until her parents find her. And we get this weird scene a little later on where it's a flashback of Courtney um meeting up with a guy in a bar, and the stranger is Merlin Manson, and they have sex on Liz's bed because in Courtney's mind she wanted to set it up as if Liz was like selling herself for money or something, just sort of like creating this tragic story of this high school, like this person from high school who was loved by all with like a secret life. So it was also like, not that he says he was inspired by this, but it was low key, um, a little Twin Peaksy of him to do this, but I'm not going to get into spoilers of that. And I'm not going to say what I mean by that either if you haven't seen Twin Peaks. But yeah, and I remember when this scene happened, I was just like, ew, this guy is so creepy. Like, ugh. And then I realized it was Marilyn Manson and like a really bad mustache. I was like, ooh, like, ugh. I was like, why does he look so creepy here? Ew. Man, what a bad mustache can do to you. But he was looking like a creep. He did a good job being creepy. And so, kind of to summarize, um, we get to the well, actually, before any before any of this, there is a back and forth between Violet and Courtney because Violet's becoming so popular, and Courtney's like, "I made you. I can destroy you," and literally fucking destroys her by posting up Violet. Who's Violet? Do y'all know Fern Mayo? And it's like Fern Mayo is Violet, and everybody's like, how could you lie to us? And she's like, I didn't, I mean, yes and no. I've always been here. You guys just didn't notice me until I looked like this. And that kind of broke her out of um all of that. Because I mean, she kind of got swept into the popularity and being well known and loved and everything, and that kind of blinded her from like the reality of these bitches killed somebody that was well loved by the school, and you're letting them get away with it. And so she finally is like, actually, you know what? Fuck, this is awful. Actually, let's build evidence and stuff. And so she tries to work with Pam Greer's character, the detective, and she's like, I know somebody lying to me. And so Fern is now stuck trying to build evidence, and she finds this birthday card that you can record your own audio in. And we see this early in the movie, and it already had this audio on it. But what ends up happening is Courtney ends up recording herself saying that actually, it's not that Courtney recorded herself. One of the other girls was playing with it, and it ended up catching Courtney saying that she killed uh America's like sweetheart essentially. And so Fern's big idea was to reveal this at the prom or whatever, wherever she'd be getting crowned prom queen, most love or whatever. And she gets the audio to play as she's on stage, and I'm like, oh, I see the Carrie inspo right here because people start throwing things at her and she's getting, mean looks and everything. It gets pretty wild. And yeah, she doesn't get away with it. And Fern has gained a little bit more confidence. And I think people are less mad at her, of course, because she revealed this. And that's going to end the movie. And I'm like, yeah, to get into Mean Girls, I'm like, I, I will say, Mean Girls definitely takes from a bunch of things. I'm like, of course, it's inspired by like the John Hughes of it all. Um, I would say stylistically, it's definitely inspired by Jawbreaker, but it's like Jawbreaker and Heathers both do a voiceover monologue situation. Although with Heathers, it's more like Veronica writing in her journal, in her diary. And then with Jawbreaker, it's more along the lines of narration, which Mean Girls does more of. And it's like, these aren't one to one. These aren't one to one movies. Mean Girls is definitely more um set in realism because it is just more of like a clique of girls. You have the queen bee. People want to be her. They love to hate her. She's in control. And like Haiti, Lindsay Lohan's character, she's this new girl who's from South Africa and, not used to American schools or whatever, trying to fit in and stuff. I don't know. I'm like, now I have to talk about it. I'm like, it's like the more Mean Girls is fine. I was gonna say, but it's the more boring of the two I just talked about. And I think that's mainly because I love those two movies because they're like interesting and different. And, Heathers obviously has the cult following. I mean, so does Jawbreaker. And I'm like, I finally watched this goddamn movie. And that was a good time as well. I mean, it was a wild ride for sure. And it's like Mean Girls is just like not derivative, but it's like, yeah, Mean Girls. Whoop de doo. I don't know. Like it's fine. It's popular for a reason. And Tina Fey is a great writer, you know? She's been doing it for a long time, that's for sure. I'm like, damn, I didn't even write anything else about Mean Girls. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I guess the Burn book and that kind of scene actually reminds me more of Cruel Intentions and the end of Cruel Intentions. And not to spoil it, but um then the Cruel Intentions from the 90s, not the show they recently made. I'm like, I hate that motherfucker's hair. Ew. I mean, no. Yeah, Cruel Intentions from 1999. Although I do need to watch Dangerous Liaisons. And actually, honestly, looking at Cruel Intentions, I'm like, I am going to talk about a Reese Witherspoon movie, not Legally Blonde, but her movie Fear, also from the 90s. I guess I'm in a 90s sprint. But it's a movie called Fear, starring her and Mark Wahlberg from 96. It's from 96. And this was also, oh my god, this is also another DVD that I had. And was it a DVD? Yeah, because I was like, it could have been a VHS. No, it was a DVD. Like VHSs that I remember are The Good Son, which came out in 93, and that starred Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood. Baby Elijah Wood. He looks so adorable. But this is a horror movie or like psychological thriller, which It's a horror. It's in the horror category. I get, I don't know. I guess it's its own category, but I feel like I don't know. It's something to look into, and I will look into it more because I want to give accurate information because I keep putting it into horror, and I'm like, I think there are psychological thrillers that are also horror, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, The Good Son. I need to give it a rewatch. I'm like, when did Home Alone come out again? I mean, I did talk about Home Alone earlier, so it's not like I'm not staying relevant. Come on, Home Alone. Oh, yeah, Home Alone came out in 1990, and The Good Son came out 3 years after. So it's like this came out on the at the high of him being, in this very popular movie. Or, well, 3 years after, but still, like, I guess that one I know I had the VHS of, or my mom did, and we watched it, and I watched it a good amount. Evil has many faces, and it's literally just Macaulay Culkin being this, like, awful boy who I remember there's this one scene specifically that I remember of him dragging his little brother, played by Elijah Wood, to a overpass, like just a bridge, that was above um, a highway, and Macaulay Culkin's fun little game was throwing a dummy off of the bridge into the traffic and having everyone down there freak out because they thought a person just killed themselves and caused uh, accidents. That was a notable scene I remember. I know other things happen in this. I just can't remember off the top of my head. And yet another DVD I have to get. But yeah, I'm like, these three movies have overlap for sure. I would say Jawbreaker definitely pulls more from Heather's, but not that much. And same with Mean Girls. Like Mean Girls, it's like, oh, you can. It's like saying anything that has three or four girls who are popular. Is taking from Heather's, and it's like, yes and no. But it's like so many different things have that sort of ensemble. Not even an ensemble, because like we just learned, an ensemble cast means that everyone has the same amount of time on screen. But just like, this cast of characters that you're able to interact with. And the way like the click stuff happens is like you have the one it's like not like a girl group, but sometimes not all girl groups are like this, but it's like you have the main vocalist and then the other people in it are just kind of like background vocalists rather than everyone having an equal amount of uh singing or rap time. But I think I'm gonna end it there. Like, that was at least the length of a movie, right? You can find me on Instagram at V underscore noir underscore. I stream on Twitch Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesday 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. I said Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays and Saturdays. 10 a.m. to 11 specific time. And on Saturday, 11 to noon. Although this coming Saturday, I won't stream and it'll actually be that same time. But on Sunday, you can find the podcast archive at www.nwwitapod.com and support me on Patreon, please. I want to make a film club. which is just patreon.com/V Noirs Film Club. And the noir is with the E. So it's NOIRES Film Club for the Patreon. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.